Hello and welcome to Birdeye Live, the show dedicated to the digital transformation of local businesses everywhere. I am your host, Justin Meredith, and join me as we learn from industry experts about the how and the why for taking your business online and claiming the most valuable real estate on the internet at first page of Google. Now, if you're tuning in live, please feel free to jump in the chat and say hello. We'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, we'll be there to answer those in the comments as well. Now, I'm not tackling today's episode alone. Joining me is Sirat Singh from Birdeye's marketing team. Welcome, Sirat. I'm really happy to have you back again. Excited to dig into some of the latest insights.
Definitely. Thanks, Justin. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to dig into today's session because Joy is one of the premier experts in the world of local SEO, and as the owner of Sterling Sky and the founder of the local search forum, she offered some incredible insights into what businesses should be focusing on this year. And one of the biggest shifts that I've been seeing is Google's increasing emphasis on real time engagement signals, which means that businesses that regularly and consistently update their GPPs, the Google Business Profiles, who respond to reviews quickly, stay engaged with their customers, they're seeing a boost in their visibility. So SEO is no longer just about setting it and forgetting it. It's all about active management now.
That's a great point. Yeah, and we're going to dig into some of these insights from Joy from last week's webinar. It was an incredible discussion. She provided basically it was difficult to put this discussion with you and these clips together, Sarah, because we had so many amazing clips from Joy that we could use. And so
Absolutely.
today we put together some of the best ones that we could find, some of her most helpful insights to help you make sure that your business is growing on Google going through 2025 and beyond, especially if you have multiple locations. Being able to scale your growth on Google across each location is super important. And Joy gave us the insider tips and best practices on how you can do that. So let's dig into our first clip of the day. And this is where she was talking a little bit about the evolution of basically kind of the evolution or the improvement of messaging between, on Google between businesses and customers. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so there's a new feature that was just came out a couple weeks ago in the US. And I think it's starting to come out in Canada, although it's pretty buggy. So I don't know if it's fully out in Canada yet. But you can now add just a texting number. So if somebody wants to text you, you can put whatever phone number you want in there, and then text will go to that number. This is a change from what used to be Google's messaging service, which was in their platform. It was so annoying. Very little adoption. Almost nobody used it. Consumers and businesses, for the record, like either way. We had lots of businesses that had the chat feature on their profile, and they would get very few chats. So this is way better. This is like, hey, you want a text button? Let's let you put a phone number in that your customers can text you to, and that's so much better. And I think it also supports WhatsApp as well. So that is a new thing that I think was absolutely the right move from Google.
I am really excited about this. Sarah, what's your take on that?
So I think this is a very smart move. Google's chat feature had lower adoption, so businesses now being able to set up their own texting number means faster responses and more direct engagement. But at the same time, they can also, they've made communication easier by letting businesses DM to their existing customer support channels as well. So I think that's a really, really good move.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is that it just is continuing to get easier to communicate between business and customers. I remember when the legacy system with Google Business Messages was set up, and Joy was saying it too, that nobody really used it. And I remember whenever it was going when that was kind of happening, and there was a lot of people who were like, okay, should we be using Google Business Messages? Like, is this actually going to work, or blah blah blah. And whenever you kind of had it set up, a lot of people didn't really use it, whether you were a customer or business. And a lot of times you get a lot of spam. But what's amazing is that the really the end goal for Google is to make, to give, consumers the ability to get the most relevant information that they can, and make it as easy as possible for them to get that information, and enabling the ability to just text the business is amazing. I think it also makes it a lot easier for the business, because then you can just have it through your text messages and it's not as crazy. Or if you're a WhatsApp person, you can use those as well. But I do think this is a great move. And if you're still trying to get your business profile optimized and you're trying to make sure everything is accurate, I would definitely make sure to check out that element to it. Because, at the end of the day, when you're a business and you're trying to capture as many leads or customers as possible, making it as easy as possible for the consumer to get in touch with you is super crucial. So I think that's it. Let's go on to our next one, where Joy's going to continue talking about some updates to Google Business Profiles and some of the impact that these updates might have on your search ranking.
So let's talk about the hours thing. So there was an update the end of 2023. We coined it the openness algorithm update. That's what I called it. But basically, when you're open, you rank better than when you're closed. So you'll find, for example, if you're a dentist and a lot of dentists close at like 4 or 5 p.m. If you're open to like 8 p.m. and you go on Google and you search, your ranking will be much better. You'll probably rank further away when all your competitors are closed. So this is one of those things that we've had a lot of conversations with clients about. I still, every time we do audits, we find businesses that are not using this to their advantage. What we suggest is base your hours on when you answer phones. Now, theoretically, I gotta clarify this. Google would say if you have a brick and mortar business, it should reflect when you actually are open, right? So as a dentist, for example, if you close your doors and lock them at 5 p.m., Google would say list yourself as 5 p.m. There's no enforcement on that policy.
This is a good one, and I'm glad that she covered this, because this is something that we've seen a lot of people ask questions about. Sierra, what's your take on this one?
So, this is definitely an easy but often overlooked ranking factor. And, if your business, as Joy said, if your business can stay open till later, or, you have a dedicated support team that can answer calls after normal working hours, your business can gain that competitive advantage when it comes to the search rankings. So, yeah, I mean, adjusting the hours can strategically, boost your visibility. So
Yeah.
I think that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense. And, if you think about it logically from Google's perspective, it makes complete sense why this would be the case. I mean, if you are a person, let's say it's 7 o'clock in the afternoon and you're looking for, a doctor or a dentist, or, maybe something, maybe not a doctor or a dentist that could be some sort of emergency, but, if you are calling for any kind of business that may not necessarily be open at 7 o'clock p.m. And if you were to do a Google search and you looked at the results and all of the results were just businesses that were closed, that wouldn't be helpful to you. You'd be like, great, okay, here's all these businesses that I can't go see. And so, being able to prioritize the businesses that are open makes just logical sense, because you want to be able to provide relevant results and relevant business recommendations. Now, the hard part is you can't really take advantage of this you can't just be open 24/7, especially if you're a brick and mortar, because people could show up at your building at 1 a.m. and they see that you're closed, but online it says you're open. So,
And you don't want frustrated customers like
oh
that.
my gosh. I'll never forget. I don't even know why, I was craving a Cuban sandwich and I just needed it. And I went to 2 different places at like 9 o'clock and both of them were closed. But on Google, they said they were open. It was so frustrating. And I never got my sandwich. But in any case, this is a logical, practice that makes sense to me in terms of, how Google operates. But it just also shows the importance of making sure that your business is accurate. Because if your business says that you're closed when you're actually open, you are definitely going to be missing out on some web traffic. So at the very bare minimum, make sure that your information on your listings is completely accurate, especially your hours. Because again, if you say you're closed when you're actually open, going to get dropped in the rankings by a lot. And then if you're able to answer the phone past when you're open, especially if you're a service area business, definitely take advantage of the fact that you can stay open later because you can take calls, especially because you don't have a brick and mortar that people are going to be going to see. So if you're able to answer calls, definitely do something with that. But I thought that was a really good insight from Joy, and we've got some other really good ones. So let's see what she says next. And this next one is a little bit more on we're going to do another one on the business profile side. And this one's more about optimizing your address and your listings and how that will impact.
Now, where you're at a disadvantage is that one of the big ranking factors for local queries is the presence of an address. So if you have an address, you need to make sure your address is listed on your page. That is absolutely a ranking factor. If you have a location in Houston, you don't list your Houston office, you're leaving a lot on the table. So we've done this for service area businesses before where they're like, oh, I don't have anybody come up to me at my address, so I don't list my address on my site. And I'm like, we put their address on and the rankings boom, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a good one. Sierra, what is your take on this? And then we can dig into it just a little bit, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Definitely. So I feel like having an address visible to anybody who's visiting your profile online, it just adds a layer of legitimacy. Even if customers don't visit your location, listing that address just strengthens, local ranking signals, the engagement signals. So businesses can significantly improve their search presence by simply, adding that address across all the platforms. That's an excellent move to boost your traffic ranking.
Yeah. And this is a straightforward one, but it's easy to screw up. But it really boils down to something that I learned very early on at my time here at Birdeye, and one of my first webinars, in I think it might have been the first webinar that I was ever part of here at Birdeye. But we had a guest speaker, and he was telling me that if you want to make sure that your business profile is set up, at least the core foundations, you need to make sure that Google can confirm that you are who you say you are, and you're located where you say you're located, and you do what you say you do. And saying if you are where you say that you're located, that accuracy is very important, because if you say that you're in Dallas and you're actually located in Austin for whatever reason, that's going to hurt your rankings. And so, I think these first three clips, they really boil down to, when it comes to your business profile, especially in today's day and age, when you have to differentiate yourself between all these other competitors that are in your local market, you want to make sure that you have every single piece of information on your profile. You want to make sure it's accurate. You also want to make sure that you can provide as much helpful information for your consumers as possible. Your services, your address, your hours, your phone number, being able to, provide a number for them to text you is also, a big impact as well. So, it really just boils down to, when you go to your Google business profile, you should visit it from, the admin side as well as just a normal user side. So maybe open an incognito window or something, or from a different account, and look at your profile and see, okay, how does this look? I mean, do I have photos? Is my information accurate? If I was to be a customer looking for my type of business or product or service, and I look at this profile, would this make me want to click on it? And then look at your competitors, look at the other options, because those other options are what the other consumers are able to look at as well. So you really need to understand, how do I, in plain form, just how does my business right here stack up against these other businesses? Whether it's with my reviews and my star ratings, or do I have enough pictures? Do I have my services listed? Is it easy for somebody to click book an appointment, or, text or call, or whatever it may be? But you just look at it objectively, or even, have someone else take a look. Take a screenshot of your own business profile versus 3 or 4 of your competitors and send it to somebody and say, hey, how do these compare to you? And just get that perspective, because really the big thing here is, if you can look at your own business profile and your own online presence from the perspective of your customers, you'll much clearly you'll be able to much more clearly see, where you need to.
100%.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
common sense stuff. There's some things, but it's easy to forget and it's easy to get wrong. But it's not difficult to, like you just put your hours, right? It's not like it's rocket science. But doing it correctly across all your locations can be a bit complicated and it can get difficult, especially when you want to change your hours, for example, like if you have a holiday, right? So being able
Yeah.
to manage that stuff updated and accurate is super important. It's not some crazy, you don't have to know how to code and get into the weeds of everything, but you just, it's a little common sense, but you really want to make sure you do it because it can really change the visibility of your business online. Now, this next clip is interesting because we dug into a specific industry, which was the real estate industry, because we had a couple of questions from the audience, and this kind of relates to the service area side. They don't necessarily have a physical brick and mortar. Some do, things like that. But for the most part, real estate agents are they're flying all over town. They're showing houses to people. They're trying to communicate with people who are moving in from out of town. There's a lot going on. And, we had some questions about content strategies, for real estate agents. Obviously you have your social media stuff, but what are some of the things that they can do? And so Joy gave us some insights on that.
Yeah, I'll save you time. We've done this for lots of real estate agents in the past. They do nothing, so don't bother. It doesn't help your ranking. They don't really get clicked on because we've used tracking UTM to see if how many people click on them. They don't generate much clicks. So I would not spend any time on that. If you're a real estate agent, probably the best bang for your buck is writing articles on your website, especially articles on like what it's like to move to specific places, what it's like to what neighborhoods in those specific places are better than others and why. Things like what are the best schools, like that kind of content tends to do better for real estate agents and will go a lot further than spending time adding products to your business profile.
Yeah, and so I remember this clip more clearly now, and that was actually when somebody in the audience was talking about, can I put the houses that I'm selling or the buildings I'm selling on my Google business profile as a product? And so what Joy was saying is like really, it doesn't do a whole lot for your SEO, but what it does is creating real content on your website, like writing blogs, because when people go to your website or if they're looking for a real estate agent, they want somebody who knows the area, not just has a bunch of houses they can sell, but they want somebody who can really make sure that you find the best place in their city that you can live in and that fits best for you. Whether you have a family, you want to find the right school district, that's the kind of stuff that people are looking for. If you're a real estate agent and someone is thinking about moving to, why can't I think of a city off the top of my head right now? Tampa Bay, Florida, right? And somebody's Googling, okay, well, what are the best school districts in Tampa Bay? Or what areas have a lot of public parks for kids? Things like that. Those are things that you could create content for. And when people go to search that, your website pops up and it's like, oh, well, this person's an agent. They can definitely help me. I want to submit a call. So that kind of stuff really is helpful. And that can be extrapolated to other businesses as well. Like it doesn't have to just be real estate. It's, one of the things that, I'm helping out a friend of mine who's a local business owner here in my town. And he's a landscaper. So he's service area. And I've been helping him figure out different ways he can create content, whether it's on social or for his website, that he can kind of stand out and differentiate himself and show his expertise of landscape architecture and things like that. Because I mean, in a big city like Austin or metropolitan area, we've got a lot of different little businesses and there's a landscaper on every corner. So how do you separate yourself from that, especially when you don't have a brick and mortar? And this content strategy where you're creating helpful, authentic thought leadership content is super important. But I think it's also important to make sure that you don't just stick it into AI or ChatGPT and copy and paste it blindly. You really want to make sure that the content you're putting out there is unique and it's helpful. And it actually, that's the big one, is that it's helpful and it actually provides value to your potential customers. So that was kind of my breakdown on that. Sierra, what about you? When it comes to this side of it with the service area business, whether it's content or, what's your kind of take?
I completely concur. So the thing is, even when we are looking for a service or a product, or let's say in this case, a property, that we want to invest in. I won't, as a searcher also, I'm not going to type, um, just the name of a property or something on those lines. What I will actually type is where can I buy, where can I find good houses, or the best neighborhoods in Texas, let's say, the best schools near Tampa Bay, using your example. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, also, it doesn't really make sense to add a listing directly to, your GPP. And Joy rightly pointed out that, content is actually the real driver of visibility in these cases. So, agents, who focus on writing about the neighborhoods, the school districts in and around the area, the market trends, um, so they tend to consistently rank higher, and therefore attract more leads. So, content marketing is the real differentiator here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so let's go to our next clip. And with this one, we're shifting gears. We've talked a lot about Google, especially with Google Business Profiles. Joy is a savant with Google Business Profiles. But as we talked about in our last episode of Birdeye Live, here when we had Darren and Shaw on, there's other players coming into the field. And Google's still the king. They still have like 90% of the market share. But there's some other places. There's some people who really like Facebook, or there's some people who use Bing. On my personal laptop, I like to use Bing because Chrome does take a lot of bandwidth from my computer, and so Bing, gets the job done. I connect all my Google stuff through Bing. Like I still go to my Google Drive and Gmail, but it's not as heavy of a load on my computer. But so Google still dominates the online search landscape, but there's some other areas. And so let's talk about Joy's take on that and what she kind of feels is the move when it comes to Facebook and Bing and these other places.
And so I want to get ahead of it before it becomes big and you're confident it's going to be the next big thing, then I would say focus on actually your Facebook reviews, which sounds a little weird, but that is one of the things that Bing pulls in local results based on. They use Yelp and they use Facebook for reviews. And we all know reviews on Yelp are a little difficult to control. You're not even supposed to ask for them. So that's why my recommendation is Facebook.
Yeah. And essentially, the context of this clip is we were talking about these other players in the search game. So Search GPT, Perplexity, and some of these others. And we were talking about, well, what can you do, or how do these other platforms find businesses? What do they look at? Do they look at your Google reviews? Do they look at your Facebook? And and what Joy was kind of saying is your Facebook reviews can kind of get picked up by everything. Like even Google looks at them, Search GPT does too, even your Bing ratings do as well. And especially for local businesses, Facebook is that next best place to start generating reviews. Obviously with Yelp, it's a little bit more difficult. You want to make sure that you can comply with their guidelines on how you can generate and manage your reviews. So with Facebook, it's something that pretty much everybody has an account, and it's the same thing with like a Google account. And being able to drive reviews to both Google and Facebook will help you, overall in the long run manage your overall like wide online presence. But during the conversation, Joy, she did say multiple times that Google still is the king. But if you are to branch out, these are some other places you can look at. And I think that's something that's super important as well. What were you kind of feeling with that one, Sarah?
So I think I completely agree with Joy, and so Facebook is still very popular amongst certain demographics. So I feel that Bing also pulls data from Facebook reviews, meaning that businesses with a strong presence on Facebook, they actually have a chance of gaining more visibility on Bing's search results, which is again quite popular. So many businesses are only focusing on Google reviews, which is essential as you mentioned, but diversifying your reviews across different platforms can definitely give you an edge. And I think a good strategy would be for someone who's starting out or for someone who still has gaps in their review strategy. The best place to start would be with, non-AI review engines. So Google, Facebook, Bing, Yelp. And probably then, once you've strengthened this part of your strategy, then move on to AI reviews.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah. And sticking with reviews, there's a lot of talk about them. And, one of the most important things that I've really kind of found with all of the conversations we've had with these experts over the past few months, and keeping my ear to the ground when it comes to local, the search algorithm, and how are these, how's Google, how's Search GPT, how's Perplexity, how are they ranking, how are they looking at businesses, and one thing that always stays consistent is the importance of reviews, because that's user generated content. Those are other customers who are talking about your business. And in terms of finding a recommendation for anything, the most powerful form of marketing is still word of mouth. And, it's one
Sure.
of those things that's just always going to be there, I'd say. I mean, especially as the world gets more, AI driven, there's a lot of content out there now, and there's a lot of, just digital media and blogs and all this stuff. It's all written by AI.
Yeah.
Pictures aren't even, there's a lot of, you have to kind of look closer at pictures now, and soon videos as well. And so, when it comes to finding authentic insight as to what a local business is like, those reviews is a very important piece. And, there's always going to be that battle with making sure that the reviews you have are legitimate and they're accurate and they're, they're from real customers. So that battle is always there. But when you can kind of get on the other side of it and you've generated a lot of reviews and you have that strong rating and you have new reviews coming in, that recency and frequency is important too. It just transforms the way that your business shows up. I mean, when you can really get that side dialed in, it's incredible. Joy had, some insights as well when it comes to managing your reviews. And this is especially important if you are a multi-location business. So let's take a look. This is our last clip, and then we'll dig into some other stuff afterwards, and we'll wrap up today's episode.
Yeah, this isn't going away anytime soon. Like it's I don't know if it's growing, but it's certainly not shrinking. The two things I always tell people with reviews, there's two kind of best practices that work really well. One is incentivizing your employees. You do not want to incentivize customers. That violates a bunch of laws and Google's guidelines as well. But if you have a bunch of employees, you can run bonuses and things to help them care about getting reviews.
Yeah. Sarah, what is your take on this?
So she's absolutely right about incentivizing the employees. So
Not the customers.
yeah, that's 101. So yeah, a structured review strategy is the key here, and encouraging your employees to ask for reviews. It definitely results in a steady flow of authentic feedback, and multi-location businesses that that are spread across tens of hundreds of locations. They actively manage and respond to if they actively manage and respond to these reviews consistently, they tend to outperform their competitors in search rankings. So it's definitely a huge driver.
Yeah, definitely. And when on the SEO side, reviews are massively important. And on the flip side, what she was really talking about is when you can incentivize your employees, that's for those in-person requests. And that is so
Oh,
powerful,
yeah.
especially when it's multi-location. So being able to like if you have 100 locations and you put together this incentivization plan for your employees where they generate an X number of reviews, they get a gift card, or whoever can get the most reviews gets a gift card. I don't know, a gift card is the only prize I have right now, but that's what I think most often it's going to be. And when you can combo an in-person request with a electronic delivery system for requests. So if you were to say, hey, hey Siri, I hope you really enjoyed, your or I hope you really enjoyed our services today, and I hope you were able to to make sure, satisfy all of your needs and solve all your problems. We would really appreciate it if you left us a review on Google. It helps us get more visibility. It helps us stand out in the local market. And, if you could just share a little bit about your experience, or if you have any photos you'd like to share, that would go a long way. And then you ask them that. And when that happens is whenever you ask them that question, regardless if they were planning on leaving a review or not, they're going to think about it. Like, it's just a natural human instinct that if someone's asking you for a review, you could respond like, oh yeah, definitely. I'll make sure to do that when I get home. And in your mind, you're naturally just going to start writing that review in your head already. Like, it's just a human thing where it's like, okay, well, what did I like about it? Like, what would I give them? And so even if they weren't planning on it, they're already writing that review in their head. And then whenever you combo that with a text message, like maybe you send them an email or a text while they're headed home, and when they get home, they can leave the review. But that's the big thing, is comboing it, because asking in person just delivers so much more impact, and sending that email or that text with a link makes it so much easier for them to leave the review. Because if you were to ask them in person and they were to drive home, they get home, their dog's jumping on them, they've got other stuff, their hands are full from groceries, whatever it may be, they're going to forget, more often than not, it feels like. And so whenever you can combo that with a text message where they can just say, oh, cool, click a link, bing, going. And that
little nudge goes a long way.
It really does. And that personal touch does too, because then it feels like, okay, I'm not leaving a review from a random business that just texted me a link, but it's like, okay, I'm helping out, John, who helped me, organize my closet. I don't know, he's a closet organizer, home service business, maybe. But yeah, and so I think that's one of the, when it comes to these insights that Joy's given us, I mean, we've gone through so many, and there's so many more from that webinar that we could have put in here. But what I really wanted to focus on here was the importance of Google Business Profiles, and the importance of driving reviews and that real authentic customer feedback, and how powerful that could be. Now, if you are a multi-location business, scaling that's super difficult. And, when it comes to generating reviews, one of the best things, like we talked about, is asking all of your customers for a review. Because the more customers you ask, the more chances you have of receiving a review. And being able to scale that across multiple locations is really difficult. Even if you have an incentivization program for your employees, how often is that going to actually happen? How often are they going to remember? Or, how consistent can you keep that? Can you just have an ongoing game forever with your employees? You can, but even then, though, it doesn't quite get you that full impact, because if you're not following up electronically, it's difficult. And if you do that with across 100 locations, that's really difficult to manage, even electronically. But that's what makes Birdeye so great, is that you can automate this, and you can really just plug everything in and let it run. And you can monitor everything from one dashboard for all of your locations. And so you can make sure that every customer is getting a review request. You can make sure every review is being responded to. You can make sure every element of your business profile, your Facebook pages, your Bing profiles, your Instagram pages, you can make sure all of that is accurate. So when it comes to your hours, your address, all the things that we've talked about today, you can do that from one place. And it's really, really easy, and it makes it a lot easier to manage as well, and consistent, because that's the big thing too. Staying consistent across all of these best practices is key. Because you can ask everybody for a review for one day and you might get some, but after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's like, okay, well, now the reviews are 3 weeks old. And as time goes on, we've seen, especially with the Google algorithm, is they value frequency. So quantity, quality, frequency, and recency. So, how good are the reviews? Like, do you have a good star rating? How many do you have? How often do you have reviews coming in? And do you have new reviews? Like, are people going to your business right now and reviewing it? And so those elements to your reviews and your business profile are absolutely crucial to making sure that your business thrives online. So those are the clips that we have for you guys today. Please go check out the Birdeye website and look at the webinar. It was the most recent episode of our local search expert series, How to Grow Your Business on Google Across Every Location, featuring Joy Hawkins, who's one of our favorite guests. She was one of our keynote speakers at Birdeye View. Absolutely incredible. She makes a lot of the complicated stuff easy to understand. She's she's a real teacher in that way, and she's so great. So definitely go check that out. I also believe that she did post a couple of recent videos on her YouTube page regarding some recent Google updates. And so I would definitely make sure you go check that out as well. But for all the other things, online reputation, building your brand online, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn or on YouTube or wherever you want to get your Birdeye content. We have an incredible team who are constantly putting out amazing and helpful content, vlogs, guides, reports. We've got some great stuff coming up. So be sure to follow us on those social platforms. And lastly, be on the lookout for our next webinar. I think our next webinar will be on March 20th. The page isn't published yet, but it will be next week. And in that webinar, we will be joined by none other than Mike Blumenthal, who's kind of the godfather of SEO. So I'm really excited for that one. He's going to provide some incredible insights. So you want to stick around for that. Now, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the latest edition of Birdeye Live. Thank you so much, Sirit, for joining me again here. I'm looking forward to our next episode where we break down the highlights from Mike Blumenthal. And hopefully we can have some other fun conversations too. I think we've got some exciting things coming down the pipeline here at Birdeye. But yeah, thank you so much, Sirit.
Thanks, Justin.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that is all that we have for you guys today on Birdeye Live. Be sure to follow us and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Customer expectations are higher than ever. And for local businesses with limited resources, meeting these new demands to stand out from the competition can be a struggle. Meet Birdeye, our very own AI purpose-built to power digital customer experience. With Birdeye, local businesses of any size can deliver personalized experiences, elevate business outcomes, and better understand their customers without adding resources. Birdeye powers all the Birdeye tools your business already uses, enhancing your entire customer experience with personalized, contextualized, and human-controlled AI. And making the most of it only takes a couple of clicks. You can use Birdeye to rewrite your Google business description for SEO. Effortlessly engage your customers with fully personalized AI-generated review replies and messages. Create attention-grabbing social posts from text to design in a click of a button to grow your local presence. Even use AI to summarize your reviews, messages, and survey responses to learn how to improve your customer experience. And you can do it all without needing additional team members or spend. Birdeye gives your team the ability to personalize and elevate every customer interaction, from review responses, messaging, social, and beyond, at scale. Respond to every customer review in a way that's relevant, meaningful, and in the language your customers prefer with auto-translate. Increase conversion over messaging with contextualized responses that demonstrate a deep understanding of your customers' needs. Birdeye even helps you think ahead. It automatically identifies trends and spots areas of improvement based on vast volumes of customer feedback, helping you dig deep into the true sentiment behind every piece of feedback. Innovative and easy to use, Birdeye powers all the tools to attract, convert, and delight customers behind the Birdeye platform. Birdeye, AI built for local business.